Welcome back, Drift fans, to a very exciting episode of Formula Drift Insider. I am your host, Ryan Sage, and this week we dive right into an awesome recap of the very first event of the year, Long Beach. For those of you that attended or watched it live on the Drift stream, the event did not disappoint, and the season is already in full swing. So let's jump right into the action and start with some top 16 highlights. And let me say that this first highlight is already a contender for Battle of the Year. Daigo Saito and Frederick Osbo. This battle right here is a fight you would pay to see in the finals, but these two giants ended up meeting in the top 16, and not only did the judges think that the first battle was close enough for a one more time, the second battle proved to be even closer, and yet another one more time was asked of the pair. We focus in on the final battle as Daigo comes out strong, goes perfectly wide into the first wall, and then transitions, but stays just a bit off the first outer zone. He then goes deep into the second outer zone, but Osbo is right there all the way to the finish. Can you believe a four-cylinder is hanging with that 1,200 horsepower beast? We couldn't either, and that is a testament to Papadakis Racing. On the next run, Osbo executes a perfect lead run, and watch right here as he gets ever so close to the first outer zone. This would be the difference as Frederick Osbo upsets 2012 champ Daigo Saito. Next up, we saw Chris Forsberg just get by a renewed Darren McNamara. Vaughn Gittin Jr. defeated Patrick Mordaunt, Chelsea Denofa best Ryan Cotto, and Daijiro Yoshihara took out Matt Powers. In the Great 8, things really started to heat up as it became clear that Daijiro Yoshihara and his vehicle have come back in 2013 with vengeance. If you recall, in the top 16, Frederick Osbo was able to use his quickness to stay with Daigo Saito. But against Dai, Osbo just did not have the speed needed, and Dai ended up taking him out. This speed would prove to be a factor later. After that, a surging Chelsea Denofa was able to move on against Kenny Moen, who had a hard crash coming out of turn 9. It was scary for a second, but Kenny is a stud, and he made it out okay. His car, on the other hand, was done. Up next, Chris Forsberg was able to best his Drift Alliance buddy Ryan Turk in a battle that we have not seen since last year at Wall Speedway. Forsberg, coming into this event, has a 67% winning average over Turk in their competition history. And finally, Vaughn Gittin Jr. was able to get by Ken Gucci, who had been drifting very well all weekend. So in our final four, we have Chelsea Denofa versus Daijiro Yoshihara, and Vaughn Gittin Jr. going up against Chris Forsberg. First up, Dai takes on Chelsea, who on the first run while chasing had a bit of trouble keeping up with the speed of Daijiro's car. Announcer Jared Dienda screamed over the mic that it looked like Dai turned it up to level 11, and that was definitely the case. On the second run, Chelsea had a few bobbles, and Dai was able to maintain and receive a berth to the finals. Vaughn Gittin Jr. and Chris Forsberg were next. Vaughn was shot out of a cannon, hitting both the first outer wall and then the first outer zone with precision. Forsberg was unable to go as deep and settled for a middle line to gain proximity. Forsberg did dive in at the hairpin, but the damage was done. On the second run, Forsberg put down a perfect lead run, hitting both the outer zones excellently. But as you might have guessed, the master chase driver Vaughn Gittin Jr. was with Chris the entire way. A great job by Vaughn as he received a unanimous score. He gets the win. Forsberg would go on to beat Chelsea for third place. So our final was set. Vaughn Gittin Jr. versus Daijiro Yoshihara. Will this be the story that unfolds this year? Well, both drivers did incredibly well. They both looked flawless all weekend, and their vehicles are top-notch. The first of these two drivers to win the next championship will sit with only Sam LeJuvenet and Tanner Faust as the only two-time champions of Formula Drift. So let's get to our final. On the first run, Dai came out firing, but did not go perfectly into the outer wall or the first outer zone. But he did pull a lead on Vaughn Gittin Jr. Vaughn seemed to anticipate this by the middle of the run and tried to dive in to close the gap at the hairpin. He surged hard and came so close to hitting Dai, but in the process, he went offline and took out the inner clipping cone at the hairpin. This would be a big mistake for Vaughn Gittin Jr. The second run, Vaughn Gittin Jr. came out strong with a nice lead run, and the judges were actually giving him favor on the dial system. But the mistake that Vaughn Gittin Jr. made in the first run was just way too much to overcome. And so your winner of the very first event of the year is Daijiro Yoshihara. Dai now has an 82% winning average over Vaughn Gittin Jr. in their history, and Dai remains the toughest driver for Vaughn Gittin Jr. to beat. So it ends with this: Chris Forsberg in third, Vaughn Gittin Jr. in second, and your new points leader, Daijiro Yoshihara, in first. What an incredible event and a great way to kick off the season. Road Atlanta is just around the corner, and we'll have more on that in the weeks to come. But for now, let's take a look at the individual championship points, as well as the tire manufacturer standings that has Falcon Tire out front. And in the auto manufacturer standings, Ford takes the early lead in 2013. Well, that is it for this episode of Formula Drift Insider. For a look at what's next, we're turning over to one of our new professional hot chicks. Let's meet.
I'm Holly Lee, model Formula Tire. On our next episode of Formula Drift Insider, we will take a behind-the-scenes look at the grit and determination of Jocelyn Pollack to have a year-ending wreck and come back and make it to the top 16. And then we will show you what to expect for the second stop of the Formula Drift Championship, Road Atlanta. Till then, don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram and like us on Facebook. You can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as well. Till next time.